Hello, everyone. It looks like we are live. Let me double check on the
Are we
YouTube
live?
side. Yeah, looks like it.
This has been on for a
How you
minute.
doing, Chuck? You hear me okay?
I do hear you. You're sounding good and a little bit tired. I could have took a nap right now, but I'll make it. I'll make it.
Me too, man.
What? Well, I did have a
So
little
welcome.
little thirst quencher there, so that that'll put me
Looks like
on.
we got a few people who caught the last minute tweet and even maybe even subscribed and got a notification. But thank you for joining us this Sunday afternoon for an impromptu after action report about Hamvention. Most people are on the road right now going home, but Chuck and I just so happened to not plan for Sunday return. We are both, individually, I'm not like, you know, part of his entourage or anything, but I planned for Monday because this is my first Hamvention. I didn't know what was happening on Sunday and whether or not I'd miss anything if I went home on Sunday. So I planned for Monday. And then Chuck, of course, I think he just loves Dayton. No, I don't know why. Why did you stay, Chuck?
You know what? It's actually cheaper for me to stay an extra day, pay for a hotel and a car, than it is to fly home on Sunday
Oh,
for two
okay.
people. So because my wife came with us, so
Yeah. Okay. Got to acknowledge Arthur, our neighbor,
yeah,
in NorCal representing.
NorCal
Nice
baby.
to see you. Andy, AA0AM.
Yep, Andy's here.
I met you for the first time at Hamvention today, and it was great to meet you. Hi to 45, Freddie Mac, and and then we got Hammock Radio.
Yep, Hammock's set up.
So it's good to hear from you all.
Hi guys.
Um, so Yeah, I just thought I would have this stream real quick. I know that some people at Hamvention asked me when the next Tandem Thoughts stream or podcast would be going. And I just put a kind of a bug in my mind, like, well, why don't I just stream right when everything's over while it's still fresh in our minds and we could talk a little bit about it. And I know a lot of people are on the road right now, so there's a lot of people missing out on this stream, but they can always catch it on Team Replay.
That's right.
We are in our respective hotels since our earlier Airbnb was over on Sunday. And so, Chuck, why don't I hand it over to you? So, how was Hamvention for you?
It was good. It's pretty kind of hectic. It's like when you actually like try to do some YouTube stuff, and it's like you don't really get to see a lot. And actually, you and I we saw a little bit more today that we had missed, and picked up a few things that being trying to get some kind of footage and stuff. I just miss stuff and forget. And after we streamed yesterday morning, after we done, I was ready to sit down for a little while. Um, typical, try to live stream and something goes wrong, and so I end up a lot more steps than I planned on it right off the bat.
It was hot too.
And it was
I
hot.
I, I was admiring everyone's perseverance
Yeah,
because it was the sun came out and it was pretty intense.
we got Hammer the Crusader and Evan showed up,
Yep.
and Michael showed up. Michael Clems.
I don't know if you can tell on the video, but my face is a bit red, and
It
yeah,
is.
that's all sun. I didn't have any kind of hat, so I was just
Well,
especially when I went to the flea market, I
I
had
thought
the
you
full
stopped off at
effect.
the tanning booth there on the way back. It was right by
Oh
the
yeah,
road there.
the DX Engineering tanning booths. Yeah,
Yes, they're pretty cool.
no, there's no such thing. But no, it was. I was warned about the humidity and warned about the heat and the potential rain.
Yeah,
And not knowing any of these things, I didn't pack any kind of raincoat or umbrella. And I expected it to be warm. And I know after I got off the plane on arrival, I got hit with a wall of humidity. And I was like, okay, I understand. This is this is nothing we're
well,
used to
and
in
it's
California.
and it's not bad, but California doesn't really have a whole lot of humidity.
Yeah,
Not
especially in Northern California, we do not have that kind of humidity. That seems to be everywhere else in the country. Um,
and
we're
it rained
just,
what the first 2 hours of the first day,
yes,
roughly.
yes. So the flea market was a nice, muddy path, the entire flea market.
Yeah, but I'll say that
Um,
they threw rock down the middle, and that part was fairly dry early on. The only
yeah,
thing is, it was like a hump in the middle, so the water that did run off ran kind of to the where you wanted to actually end up if you wanted to see something up close. But it all dried out fairly
yeah.
good. It wasn't too bad.
It's kind of like you're walking down the gravel and then you see something that might be of interest, but you had to cross like this mud moat to
Yeah,
get to
right.
your thing of interest. Um,
Exactly.
so speaking of which, the flea market seems to be, to me, it seems like to be the big draw. I know everyone's excited about vendor announcements and seeing what things are for sale in the actual buildings, but the first thing I wanted to see was this huge flea market. Now, prior to that, I think it was on Thursday when everyone was setting up. I overheard something that Josh from HRCC said that you pretty much have to hydrate if you're going out on the flea market. And I was like, really? I mean, you know, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that intense, but the flea market really is huge. Like I did not I couldn't really visualize the extent of how big it was because there is one big flea market and you think you've seen everything and
Hmm.
then suddenly, oh, wait a second,
There's
over
another
that
flea
fence
market.
there was a whole other one bigger, even bigger than this one. And
Right.
so
Oh, you're talking about the little
I
one to
was like,
start with, right?
yeah,
And you have not really seen, because this year I think the rain kept some of the flea market people away. Because last year there was no, like, if there was any vacancy, it was one here, one there. So today,
yeah,
yesterday and stuff, there's quite a bit of vacancies. So it was about, I'd say a little over three-quarters what it usually is. And it seemed like the smaller one had quite a few people, and I didn't see many vacancies there. But the big one, and I think some people may have moved closer to the center because people didn't show
yeah.
up because there wasn't a whole lot down
Hmm.
the end. Last year, the whole end around the corner was just wall to wall Motorola stuff, old room Motorola stuff,
Old Motorola stuff.
and there was a lot of that
And
still.
we were with someone in our Airbnb, Shane,
Yeah,
um, KF6QFI. You may have seen him in other streams. Um, he's a big Motorola expert. He deals with them. He knows how to work with them. I don't know the first thing about him. So if you start naming Motorola models at me, I would not know a thing about what you were talking about. But he
right.
seems to
Him and
know
Jim are not
everything about
throwing
them.
numbers back and forth. Oh yeah, this one. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're like, yeah, whatever. Never
With
heard.
me, they just seem so cryptic and like really hard to program correctly, or you have to have special access to special tools to program. So I don't even try to understand what's going on
That.
with them. So
In 45, you are
yeah.
correct.
Yes, 45. It is quote unquote Ginger Shane.
He's a good
That's
guy.
who we're talking about. We like him. He's an expert at these things.
Yeah, he
He
is.
gets really excited all of a sudden, and you're like, why? And he shows some device, and it looks like the five other devices he has hanging off of his
Yeah,
belt. But
has a
um,
big M on it.
yeah, and it has Motorola on it. But I mean, he found some great deals there, and that's the other impression I have about Motorola is that they cost thousands of dollars, and it's like, why? But again, I'm not. That's not my area, so I can't really criticize it. I just I don't fully. I bet you I'd be super excited if I was into P25 and NXDN and all these other modes that Motorola's are typically used for.
Right. And and I see Andy there said it was strange not seeing MFJ, and that's, yeah. This is the first one I've been to. No MFJ. They were there. They were down in Florida. They were there, and this year here nothing. So that's
Yeah.
a big section. I mean, they must have got filled in because there was like no real blank spots inside, but they took up a huge section usually. So yeah, big loss there as far as your reasonably priced stuff that you can, like the average Joe can afford, or you're able to have more than one because it's not as expensive as some of the other stuff out there.
Yep. So, yeah, the first thing I did hit on Friday, I hit the flea markets, and I guess I was looking in particular for one thing. Well, let me backtrack. The first thing I actually did when it opened on Friday was head straight for HRO, and I asked them, do you have the same deal as last year for the FT5D, the Yaesu handheld? And they did not. They actually threw another $50 on last year's deal, so it was $350 for the HT. And I forget what the regular price is. I want to say it's somewhere close to $500.
I think
So
so.
either way, it was still a good deal. But I had been putting it off so long. At Huntsville, I was trying to get that same deal as last year from Hamvention. I think it was $299 was what they were doing it last year at Hamvention, and Huntsville was $389, and I was like, no, I'll wait. Well, $350 is the best I could do. I have it here. So FT5D. I already did everything I wanted to it. I put the BNC adapter on it, which I got from, where did I get that from? I think it was Tower Electronics. And then
Yeah, you said they gave you a different one first, and then they found that one. Now you know what to ask.
I want the one that's flush against the radio body for strength. And then I put my Smiley antenna, which I use on all my radios. And then, of course, when you get a new HT, you got to get all the other things, right? You got to get the charger, the desktop charger, an extra battery. It took me a long time, but I found a hand mic for it from one of the vendors selling Yaesu products. And so that was the very first thing.
It's tiny.
Yeah. Then I went to the flea market, and it was my mission to find the first radio I ever owned, which was an HTX 202 from Radio Shack. And I imagined I would find one, but in the past, whenever I've seen one of those, something would be wrong with it. So I wasn't expecting to find a one in good condition, but I did. I actually found one, and it had a sticker on it for $50. And I ended up, I asked them if it worked, and the seller didn't know for sure. And he said he would sell it to me for $25. And so right after that, I went to, what is it? Batteries America? Is that what they called it?
That's it. That was it.
And I showed him the radio. I said, do you have anything that will work with this? Because I knew that the original battery was likely dead. It was the original nickel cadmium battery. And they said they immediately knew what it was, and they immediately knew what I needed to get it running. So like within a minute, I had put 8 AA rechargeables into a replacement battery kind of cartridge thing, slapped it on. I said, moment of truth, turned it on, and sure enough, it works great. I was able to call out on our simplex frequency and confirm that everything sounds great. So
yeah,
totally happy about that.
If you guys can't find what you want from Denko batteries, Batteries America is the place to go. Especially if you're the game ship.
You'll probably 99% of what you're looking for is probably not at Denko batteries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I had to give you the plug anyhow.
Yeah, there we go. How about you, Chuck? What is some of the stuff you scored from the flea market?
I didn't have a big long list. I wanted some, and I picked them up. I picked up some power poles for a project, and I needed quite a few because I've got 12, so I need like 24 total for the project if I use those. And then I think I saw Frank did some of these. I don't know how good this shows up, but these are, and I'll show you in a second how it works, but they have a clip on the top, and then you run your rope through it. Now I've had other ones, but the sides usually are open, so if you pull it just to the side or something, the rope pops out. But these don't do that, and so all you do is you put your paracord, and it's made for the standard size paracord. And if you see that, once it locks, there's no pulling it out of there, and then you pull it down and then come back, and then to come back, just like anything else, you pull it back in. These things, they have a roller bearing on them, and this roller bearing is supposed to, it's the brass looking part there, right there. And what's that supposed to do is give you a little more pull on it to get things tighter. Because sometimes when you're tightening something down that's hard, it won't tighten down real good unless you have like a ratchet strap. And it's not a ratchet strap, but it's supposed to. And I haven't really tried it yet, but it's supposed to help that out. And then most of you guys that follow me and all know I'm into motorcycles, and I use a lot of straps like this for tie downs. But these are has the same roller in the front, and I'll probably do something on these later. But they're like 3/4 inch, which is nice. And I'm going to do some adventure bike riding stuff, and I'm going to keep these as extras in case I need to strap something down the bike. So that was some of the stuff I got. And then, we always talk about on Coffee and Ham radios about making like a radio or something. So I'm studying up on
Oh, look at that.
SDR radios, and these guys were here.
So,
They signed the book. I don't. It was like an impulse buy. Some guy talked to me and was like, "Oh man, that sounds really cool." So I got autographs and all that stuff.
yeah, that one was at Thursday night, right? The
Yeah,
4 days
we
in
haven't talked
May
about
at
that
the
yet.
hotel, the Hope Hotel. They
So
had a kind of an expo event where they sold a bunch of stuff for kind of QRP based stuff.
it was a
But
it was a
one of the
really
guys was sorry,
it's a
go
really
ahead.
good setup there because everybody there was I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of the people there were for QRP stuff. So they had like a nice audience that was appreciative of what they were selling and were looking for what they were what they what they like to do when they're out doing ham radio stuff. It
Yeah.
was a pretty cool
Four
event.
Days in May event on Thursday night was awesome. I got to meet Charlie, Red Summit RF, for the first time.
Oh, you hadn't
And
met
then
him.
I saw Era and Adam K6ARK.
Mhm.
They were together at a table and they were selling their tiny paddle and their end-fed random wire and end-fed half wave kits
Mhm.
for QRP. So it was a great time. Really packed. I was surprised at how many people were there, but it was a good time to see those folks. I've known them for some time, but I've never met them in person. So
Right.
that was pretty cool.
That's kind of my history with Dayton. I used to get up early in the morning. A friend of mine said, "Hey, why don't you join us on 865 3865?" And so I met all these people, and they were all from back here on 80. And we're talking, at night, 80 can actually be fairly long. I would get into New York with some of the guys and stuff. In my first Dayton, I got to meet like, I think my wife was here too. I think we met 5 or 6 different people that I'd only talked to on the radio, and that's all I knew of them. And it was kind of cool. You get to meet the people that put the face to the voice, including my
Yeah.
buddy who's taught me a lot about ham radio, and I finally got to meet him, and it was kind of a cool thing. You guys will probably have stuff like that when you go to places and you actually get to meet up. I actually met up with a guy from San Diego that time that I talked to, on 40 and stuff. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I know that Kyle talked a little bit about that roller thing that you have, and then Tom N3WS put out a video shortly afterwards talking about different knots that you can learn instead.
Hmm. Oh
Instead of
yeah,
buying things, just learn some knots.
yeah, but
But I like Tom. I actually do want to learn a lot of knots that he was talking about. So
well, I
that
know
was pretty
knots
good.
too from the fire department. We had knots. Figure eight's like one of the easiest, and it's like probably one of the strongest knots you can get, and it's easier to me
Mhm.
than a bowline or something. But a bowline has different qualities sometimes.
Yeah, I saw 45 Auto in the chats mention the taut line hitch. That one was a kind of a game changer for me.
Right.
When I learned that one, I was like, "Whoa, okay, now I know how to tie things down or secure them without getting too crazy." Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think. Everything went so fast, so I'm trying to think through just first impressions. Also, Chuck and I were talking about this earlier, but the food at Hamvention is pretty mind blowing.
It
Like
is.
you would expect that you go to some place and they want to show off like the city's culinary, stuff, like recommending restaurants and go to this and that place. And, I've heard mention of Skyline Chili and things like that, but um, the actual fairgrounds where the Hamvention is held, they had a lot of food vendors, and everything I tried was amazing. I
Yeah.
was not disappointed. But I guess the most popular item, or at least the most talked about one, courtesy of the Smoking Ape, is the pork chop sandwich. And
Yeah.
so
So we sent him
I was
pictures.
a little confused. I got in line, and then I saw on the menu at the food stand they had a pork loin sandwich, and then they had a bone-in pork chop, and I wasn't sure what to get, so
I had both.
I think I yeah, I think I did. I call you Chuck, or I forgot who I talked to, but I asked somebody, or maybe it was To,
Probably.
and I just said, "Which one am I getting?" And he said the bone-in, and so yeah, when I tried that, I was really blown away.
I got the pork loin one the first day. They cook it and then they deep fry it. And it's like kind of like breaded like chicken fried steak or something. It was pretty good.
Ham Radio
They were both,
Crusader says that the ice
both
cream was awesome.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, we had a few antennas left, and Jeem was forced to take them home.
Jim was able to sell a very large, was it a spectrum analyzer he had,
Uh,
or
yeah,
what
what
was it, a scope?
I think it was a scope.
It was like 50 pounds, whatever it was.
Yeah, it
So he
took
was very
the guy
eager
that
to
bought
sell
it
that thing.
and To to lift it in the guy's truck.
Yeah. But then, despite that, his truck was still full of stuff going home. So I guess he picked up a lot of things too. Jim's
Yeah.
pretty cool about buying stuff. He'll just, if he likes it, he'll impulse buy everything, you know?
Yep.
So,
He did buy something. We won't say what it is. He might want to do a video or something.
yeah, he's probably going to do his own kind of reveal on that. But yeah, and then after the flea market, after being sunburnt and tired from pacing that, and if you all go to either this channel on YouTube or on my Twitter feed, you'll see kind of a sped up video. Those are called time shift videos, which I filmed using this Insta360 X4 camera. So I would just have it clipped onto my shoulder like this, or I'd be holding it. The first one I did, I just held this up high above, but it kind of does. It's kind of like a time lapse, but it holds the horizon steady, and you can just walk all over the place, and it will just show you really quickly, kind of like the whole travel path. So I did a couple of those. I did one for the flea market, and I did one for the buildings, the vendor stalls, and it kind of gives you a sense if you watch those of how big everything is and how much you really have to walk to get from one thing to another. Um, yeah, Dayton is the Hamvention grounds. A lot of people warned me to be ready to walk a lot, like Vegas level walking. Just to get anywhere, you have to walk quite a lot.
Well, it's a
And
they use the full fairground. There's nothing that's really left.
yeah,
You know.
and at first I didn't believe it. I thought it would be easy, but no, they were right. It was huge.
I think in the
Um,
past there had been some tents. You know, the very front there where we walked in the gate.
mhm.
One of the first couple of times they used to have tents across there, and they had a lot of like electronics vendors, selling old computers and like a bunch of Radio Shack, in the package Radio Shack stuff. And but I haven't seen those the last couple of years. And in that year, those years it was supposed to rain also, and I think they were kind of ahead of that maybe, and gave guys a break with some covered stuff, big tents and stuff.
Wow.
But it's
Yeah, the vendors, there weren't any like major well, there were some big announcements, but it wasn't like anything like earth shattering in terms of a new kind of device or a new kind of radio. There was an upgrade to the Flex radios, which I'm sure many have talked about. A lot of people streamed about. So they have the 8000 series now, which is it has some upgrades, adaptive noise reduction, maybe, or something adaptive.
It's
I can't remember what.
they have. Okay, it's like clear. Basically,
Or adapt.
when you see a signal and it's like a pyramid going down like that, when you do this thing here, it's like there's a wall here and there's a wall here. There's no splatter anywhere. It's been something they've been promising for a while, and it came out in this model. And if you guys watch Coffee and Ham radios, I did the two major things was that and then the ICOM, and both of those I covered and talked to I talked to Michael for
Yes,
and I talked to Ray at ICOM, and then so those, if you want to know more about, and I actually may bring those out into a shorter setup for a couple of those on my channel, just so it's
oh,
so you don't have to watch.
Andy says it's adaptive pre-distortion.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of guys.
Obviously, I wasn't paying attention to any of that. But
there's a lot of guys running the Hermes near me and the Anons, and they've had it for a while. I did a little thing on mine on how to set mine up. I've never set it up on mine yet because what I bought to hook it up, I was told not to because I may like destroy the radio. So like I'm not going to do that. So I have to get a different one. But it's amazing. You can see the guys that aren't using it, and when you look at those Flex and the Anons and the Hermes, the ELAD, you can see so much of everybody's signals on those radios because the screen's so big. And I can tell when those guys are running that pre-distortion because it's just there's a wall on each side and it doesn't go outside of it. There's none of that little flutter on the edges or anything. It's pretty cool, and so that gives them a super clean signal. Of course.
Yeah, and then I got to see up front the new Maestro.
Yep.
So there's the Maestro C, which has 24 volts in. It has its own built-in battery, so you don't have to do those weird hacks that the older Maestro folks had to do with getting a USB battery pack and putting their own in there. It has an HDMI out, which is awesome. So you can, much like modern rigs, you can now put the spectrum analyzer on a large screen TV and look at it that way. Same controls, same kind of, all the inputs, a little bit different in the mic inputs than the older versions, but good control head for the Flex series. This unfortunately makes my 6400 obsolete, but I don't think I asked them about the software. I said, are you guys going to go to version 4 anytime soon and make me pay more money for a new SDR, a smart SDR software? And they said it'll be a little while, but they said, yeah, they're in the works for a smart SDR4. And he said it would be $199 if I were to upgrade that major version, but there's probably a 3.8 version of the current smart SDR that will be coming out, and it will still apply to the 6000 series, so, like what I have.
So when you buy the radio, that's all included the first time, right?
Yes.
So you're not.
But if they upgrade major versions like 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, then you're going to have to pay another licensing fee to get the latest one. So there's that announcement from Flex, and it was kind of cool. But if you go to the Flex booth, it's kind of like it's still the Flex box, and the Maestro looks largely the same as the current one or the older versions. So I was like, okay, cool. I don't think I'm going to upgrade though. It's kind of a pricey rig. And then ICOM had the components of a new development under a glass case, and they just had people guessing. And I saw Ray Novak standing there for most of the show, answering questions and making little comments here and there. But really, a lot of people just speculating. They had a little fish bowl there, and you were to fill out a little piece of paper what your guess was of what it was and drop it in there. But they didn't reveal anything. They just wanted to collect those ideas.
I think they just didn't get it finished in time.
Yeah,
out there. That's my opinion. Yeah, if you guys, I also had Ray on there, and he explained.
Yeah.
He said if you look at all the stuff there, he goes, there's clues on the board and around it that it will kind of tell you what's going on with it.
It's I took a good look at those board pieces. KM4 ACK and Josh KS6 NAZ were there, and I was just listening to them speculate, but I was also looking at it. It has a lot of import IO ports for like sound. It had like 3 different Ethernet adapters in different places, or ports, I mean, like Cat6 ports, and 3 different kinds of USB ports, the B, the C, and the A. And yeah, all manner of jacks and input, output, and video in and out. So I was just like, yeah, this is an ambitious piece of hardware, whatever it is. Oh, and then there was a 200-watt PA section. So, I mean, it's something that will run 200 watts and has a lot of
You know
a
what? Maybe
lot
they're doing the
of
76.
ways to remote to it.
Competing with the Yaesu with their 200-watt model and 76 and 101. I also
Very interesting.
I picked up some stuff. I've got a little project. It's my son's birthday here pretty soon. I'm building a battery box, and
Yeah.
we got this from Boiler Ryan, and he's with Ham Source. I'll tell you
Yes.
guys, when you're looking to buy things, check the other places and then go to Ham Source.
Yeah, that was actually today.
Yeah, that was today. Save some money.
I went to,
These.
I was like, I'm here, ain't got nothing to do really. We had just eaten breakfast, and I was like, let's go check out the closing of the show. And then I ended up getting some solar panels from Bioenno, the 60-watt versions. Those are going to be shipped to me, so I don't have them with me. But because I have 2 of those instead of just buying one big 100-watt panel, I was going to match them up with these parallel, kind of, what do you call them? 3-way splitters. So it's one in, and then you can do the different ones to join them, and then you can have one output from that. So it's kind of like a way to connect them all. And I saw them at another vendor. I won't name who, and they were selling for $25 each, which sounds pricey, but these are really useful. I do like them. And then Chuck goes, "Why don't you just get them at Ham Source? We'll see how much they cost there." And so I did ask them, and they were $10 cheaper. So each. So I got 2 of those.
It's like the same thing, exact same thing.
Yep. They were actually even surprised that they had, and they thought they were sold out, but we saw a bunch.
I think.
Well, yeah.
I think you got lucky because they were supposed to be someplace else, and somebody probably moved them and dropped them in the wrong place, so they weren't where they're supposed to be. So maybe you lucked out on that too.
So if you're looking for stuff related to like that, like power pole stuff, or those things for your own DIY battery box, check with Ham Source first. We like Boiler Ryan. We hung out with him a little bit, and so like to support his business, or the business he works for. It's not his, but I didn't. Kenwood's presence was there, but it was small.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything unusual from them. Gigaparts had a nice big presence. HRO, of course, they brought in all kinds of stuff. That's where I got my Yaesu FT5D. And DX Engineering had a presence there. Wasn't sure what they were selling, but there was always a long line going up to their representatives. So,
I think
what other places there?
They're in Ohio, aren't they? Also,
yeah,
one of their stores.
And then Chuck, you were showing me something from Gigaparts, right? Was it Gigaparts or was it someone else?
The mast?
Yeah, that mast that they were showing.
Yeah,
it's a really light, small mast.
They've got it's similar to like a carbon 6 from Soda Beams, and but the top section. I usually take on my carbon 6. I took the first 2 sections out and slipped them and glued them into the third section, and the third section is about where theirs starts, and I think it's a foot or 2 longer also. So, but it's the same at the bottom. So I don't know how they're getting the extra height. Well,
It's
yeah, I
pretty
don't know.
amazing.
It's weird.
When you handed it to me, I was blown away at how light it
Yeah.
was
And they were sold.
and how small it folded up. It was only like 16 inches, so it was not that not that much. You could put it in a backpack very easily,
Oh
and
yeah.
instead on the packaging it extends out to 20 feet, which is perfect for like soda or some kind of temporary off-grid deployment.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I said
It had a nice
definitely I'm going
little.
to get in the pre-order of that.
It had a nice little round tip on it for to hook your wire to or whatever, and then that slid into the cap. Most of those caps go in just a little ways. This one went in about an inch, and
Hmm.
then what it does is it grabs the second section. So when you pull it out, a lot of times you have to dig down there and try to get them. I've had
Yeah.
mine either turn upside down.
Yes.
I put a little tape around some of mine so they'll stick
Yeah,
out.
that's what I would do actually. I'd wrap duct tape at the end of one so
Yeah.
that I could always get a hold of
So
it.
so
But
some,
yeah.
some a lot of thought put into it. I don't know for sure who they were
So
talking
yeah,
to.
hopefully those come out soon because I would definitely use that in different deployments.
Yeah, Hammock says
Um,
DH Engineering's Northern Ohio.
yeah.
So,
Um, Other than all the vendors and different things that you can buy, because people just come in there with a lot of cash and expecting to walk out with something they've been looking for. But there were a lot of forums as well throughout the week,
mhm.
and one of them in particular that I caught was the gamification of ham radio, and that was led by our own
Yeah,
temporarily offline Steve Cam9G.
mhm.
He actually subbed in. I think it was supposed to be an ARL talk,
Who's the president?
but
Yeah.
something happened where they had to change the schedule. So TO subbed in and talked a little bit about FT8 poker, which they had been doing. Coffee and Ham Radios had been doing for some time. So that was a pretty cool talk. I think it was recorded, so it may pop up um, in some
Yeah,
form here on YouTube.
I'm sure it will.
But if you're ever curious about playing this FT8 poker, it does happen once in a while with the Coffee and Ham Radio
I
folks.
think I think we're going to run it once a month eventually, and it's still in the beta stages. We're still playing with things on it. I don't have a whole lot to do
Hmm.
with it as far as that part. We've got what is it, Chris is working with it. I don't remember his call sign, and and we probably will end up doing a bingo. So I'm sure Moxon somehow. I don't know how they're going to fix it in, but Moxon better be one of the bingo spots for me. I think Ape has probably something going on too. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
I know they recorded it. Hopefully it came out well, and so I think To recorded it. So he'll probably post it. Maybe one or two videos. Maybe probably just one. It wasn't super long, half hour or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we'll hopefully To or somebody can upload that recording. Incidentally, uh, you know, Hammock Radio here, TSG's telling us that TL recorded it, but it just reminded me that is where I met Hammock Radio for the first time. I've known him for a long time online, OG JerryNet member, and finally met him in person. I guess this is his hometown. He's from Columbus, so
He and I
it's
both
not
met.
too hard for him.
We both met before we ever did YouTube videos. It's like 2018 or something, 2016.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
But
we've known each
yeah,
other
it
since.
was it was nice to see so many people. So the people I met the first time were Charlie, Red Summit RF, uh, Ara, N6ARA, K6ARK Adam, even though I've talked with him since like 2018, um, and then Hammock Radio, KTSG, and of course I met Andy, AA0AM. Always see him in the chat. And then Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac was the winner of my Thursday Denko battery giveaway. So congratulations again, Mr. Freddie. Um,
Great
You know,
battery.
I just wanted to find anyone, you know, my criteria is if you approach me and ask me about my battery and you don't have one, then if I still have one in my pack, I will give it to you. And so that happened each day, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And the other winners were, there was one guy who approached me out of the blue, and I didn't know who he was until I looked at his name tag. It was WM8G Brian. And he's the guy who coined the term Denko, the best battery you'll never have. And that just made me laugh. I thought that was hilarious. And so I asked him, okay, how come you don't have a Denko yet? And he's like, yeah, I'll get one eventually. And I was like, well, worry not. And I gave it to him right there in the flea market. And so now his statement, the best battery you'll never have, is not true because he got one.
There's a bunch of them. Yeah. Hey, you mind if I
Then there's another person who approached me. His name is Cooley Wells, and he was a former customer. He bought a shirt, and he was like, I'm going to get a kit. I want to get a kit. And when he mentioned that, this was again on Friday, I had a kit in my bag and I gave that to him. And then on Saturday, Tank Radio got he's the one who asked about batteries, and he got my demonstrator edition battery, which is the clear wrapped one. And there's going to be more of those. That's not necessarily going to be like a one-of-a-kind thing.
That one's really cool.
Hey, there's Jim. Let me invite Jim into our stream, see if we can get him.
Hey, while you're doing that, I'm going to start some shirts. I don't know how long I'm going to sell them, but I just did a new setup. Sorry to throw this in your thing, but I started this right before we left, and then I didn't get very many done. I had a few there, so, and really only larges, but I'll figure out. So I think eventually we're going to offer stuff like that on our store at Coffee and Ham Radio. So if you guys are interested, I don't know if people are interested or not. So.
And Jim must have like gone 100 miles an hour because that's quite a far. Well, yeah, he left maybe around 8. So yeah, that makes sense.
Well, hopefully he didn't hit the traffic that he hit on the way up, because it took him way longer than it should have on the day he came up. So
yeah. So I know I've been talking quite a lot. Chuck, what else you got to say about some of your special finds, some of your experiences in the buildings or at the forums?
Really, the thing I was looking kind of for a used transistor type amp that did, somewhere around 1,000, 1,200 watts. That was kind of a low drive for my Hermes, because right now I'm running 2 amps into an amp into an amp trying to get, and I'm only getting like 500 out, which is 500 is plenty. Let me tell you. I mean, you'll make a ton of contacts that way, but eventually what I'll probably do, I want something to 6, and that way I'll probably just end up selling my tube amp, just because I probably won't need it, and that will give me 6. I'm a little leery of just buying a 6 meter. My buddy Gary wants me to buy a 6 meter or build one, and he has the skills. I really don't. But yeah, something that I can get some power when the openings are out there. If it's open, it doesn't really matter. Those guys, actually, the 6 meter guys made a contact into Florida with 100 watts on a 6 meter Moxon this weekend. So, and there's a little bit. If you guys are interested in 6 meter, I did interview Chris from there. He's the vice president of their group, and he has some points or some things to help people get started with it and stuff. Ooh.
I'm waiting for Mr. Jim to get his camera turned on. He's probably having some technical difficulties right now, but yeah, welcome, Jim.
Hey, I don't know. I'm on my phone. I'm too lazy to go turn on the computer at this point. And for some reason, the front camera doesn't want to come on. I don't know what the deal is. I've been home like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Made some good.
Well, we just wanted to pull you on real quick, see if you had anything to say about your experiences at Hamvention. I just decided to do this quick stream while it was fresh in our minds.
And
Yeah.
Jeff's already shot over the bow there, Jim. He says you're way bigger than an eagle. I don't know what he means by that. But,
That is just hateful. So I left at, and my watch has been on Central Time the whole time. I left Dayton at 5:45 this morning, 6:45, 6:45 Central Time this morning, and I hit my house at 3:45, so dead on 9 hours.
Nice.
No traffic, no rainstorms,
good time.
no nothing. Yeah,
So
perfect trip.
Did you have any stops?
Well, yeah, I'm an old man. I can't hold it that long. I mean, I think I got a better bladder than the ape does, but
well, that's not family.
Andy, you had to ask a question. Are you all out of stock? No, I actually zeroed out the stock because I didn't want orders to come in while I was out of town. And then people yell at me later and say, hey man, I ordered your battery 5 days ago. What's going on? So when I get back home, California, there will be more stock put up on the Denko Enterprises website.
we should have done that because I think we got a couple of antenna orders.
Yeah, you had all of them on site, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
a couple, 3 antenna orders that haven't been fulfilled. So I'll probably have hate mail when I check my email. Ordered this on Monday and it still hasn't shipped. Yes, because all of us were gone.
And the most important 2 guys were gone.
Right.
The one that sends the email that says this is who bought one, and sends the invoice,
the label,
label, and the one that actually sends them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be one. Well, you know what? Unless they ordered them before Saturday, we're not going to be late for what we usually are, because Sunday's not a non-mail day anyhow. So.
Yeah, we can't ship them out on Sunday, but what? And Chuck, you're still in Ohio, right?
Yep, I'm still in Dayton.
Yep.
Now you guys are coming back tomorrow or Tuesday or what?
Yes, we'll be back tomorrow.
So any orders that are sitting in the queue will go out maybe Tuesday, probably.
Yeah, most likely Tuesday. Everything's pretty much in stock, so.
Yeah.
I made sure we had stock before I left, so we're good there.
Now, Adam Dennis, you're at a fancy schmancy motel right now, still, right?
Yes, and I will be flying out tomorrow as well. One layover, I think, in Vegas, and then back home in the evening.
What about so did Shane get to the airport? Did he have to Uber it, or is he pulling up his pants leg and showing them legs, or what?
We really don't know. We left him.
I think he arranged some kind of either an Uber or something, but he was the last in the house. So if the Airbnb burned down, then you know what happened. It wasn't us.
Exactly.
Well, I haven't even checked my email. Hopefully, I don't have any hateful emails from those people at Airbnb.
But yeah, overall, good time. A nice different range of weather, from cold and rainy to very hot.
To hot and cloudy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. The yard guy is here. That's the weed eater.
Oh yeah.
Blower, I mean.
A little bit.
The leaf blower guy, just in time.
Yes, perfect timing.
Jim, Evan would like to know how many cigarettes you downed this weekend.
How many what?
Cigarettes.
How many cigs did you smoke?
How many cigs?
Oh, counting is so ugly.
It takes a lot of work. You can't.
Not a lot. I mean, Evan, not a lot. I wouldn't say. I didn't see him chain smoking.
Actually, I think, tell you the truth, I think he, at least when we were with him, less than usual for him. For me, from what I saw before.
Yeah. I smoked like 2 packs between Wednesday and yesterday.
Oh, you were down, right? You didn't do as many then.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yeah.
So other things that I scored.
Yeah, what all did you get?
It was actually because I blame Jim fully, but he announced
I will accept it.
At the Airbnb that Garth WG2G was selling his Pico APRS, and if you've watched Josh's videos, you will know that this little tiny radio, this is like the smallest HT, it's packed full of features, and ever since watching Josh play with it and take it to various Hamfests and get-togethers, I wanted to get one. And I said, if I see one at Hamvention, I will get one. Well, as soon as Jim said this, I was like, what? Tell him it's sold. I didn't even know the price yet. I mean, I actually got it for $250 from Garth. So this is it right here. And right now it can't find any satellites because it's deep indoors. But let me see. Yeah, 0 satellites right now. But you can see that's really tiny.
It is
radio.
Really tiny.
That's what she said.
Well,
Yes.
you don't have to tell her about what she says about you again.
We had a great time. And Adam Dennis
Yes.
is not nearly as dry in person as he is on in Discord or in the stream chat.
Shots fired.
We also kept saying KQ something QFI. We kept him on his toes too.
Oh my God, you guys were rude.
Yeah. He was ready to beat us up after a while. But yeah, good times. Oh, and then I just want to mention too, the Pico APRS, I got a whole bunch of other stuff with it. I got like extra batteries, a charger, 3D printed like belt clip case, and then this funky box, this 3D printed box for the APRS. Oh, it's not closing all the way because there's stuff sticking
That
out.
was a really nice box.
Yeah, but it's
about a 20.
I was like surprised that I got the total hookups here, all this stuff. Great price. Apparently Garth was not using it for anything. I imagine I'll use it for same thing that Hosh was using it for, which is beaconing and going to Hamfests and stuff and being able to communicate without using a lot of power. This little tiny thing, and I don't need to bring a full-fledged like 5-watt HT to talk to people at a Hamfest.
So I had it on my trip home, and I've got it set to be a TNC, and so I use APRS FI on my phone, and it does all the beaconing and everything, and then the phone does the beaconing, and then that acts as a digigate / a digipeater / iGate. I think I got that right. So it's pretty cool. I don't have to devote a VFO on my 500 to do APRS, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a pretty swank little deal that thing does. It's a great, and Dennis stole that from Garth. I just want to say that Dennis stole it.
Hey, Digital Rancher. Yeah, I saw him as well. Saw Robert at the Hamvention.
Did you guys go back today? Did y'all go back today?
We did.
Did you?
Yeah.
We bought.
Oh yeah, you didn't even know about that, Jim. I was saying earlier in the stream, I ended up getting 2 60-watt Bio-NO solar panels for $100 each.
Nice.
And because I asked them, I said, "Do you have the 100-watt panel?" And they're like, "You know what? We don't. But you could get 2 of these at the Hamvention price, 2 of these 60 watts for less than the cost of a 100-watt." And so I was like,
"You got some bonus watts."
Yeah. And then
watt privilege.
And so from there, I picked up these splitters because I'm going to join them in parallel to power my battery. But yeah, it was a good time. Even as it was closing down. Of course, I had to have another pork chop sandwich.
Oh,
Chuck had one too. So
I'm jealous.
It was very interesting watching everything. We watched it as it was getting put together, and then we saw it as it was getting pretty much taken apart, torn down.
Yeah.
What time were they officially closing today?
1.
At 1.
I imagine a bunch of people were already packing up and getting out before then.
A lot of the flea market was gone, but the vendors were still there, but they were packing. They were slowly putting stuff away so that they were done probably 130, something like that, depending on who it was.
Right.
Yeah. How about you, Jim? You want to talk about anything that you scored, flea market or otherwise?
Well, I got a roller tuner. Excuse me. I don't know if it's a roller or not. I got a manual tuner because, to be a real ham, according to the Smoking Ape, you have to have a manual tuner.
It's true
Okay.
stuff.
Because, it's been his kick lately. I only use manual tuners. And I don't have a manual tuner, so I thought, well, I'll get it to play with, because I don't have one either. Mine are all automatic. So,
Mhm.
but I got one of those. To's found that for me yesterday morning when we did the live stream there, when he was out wandering the flea market and I was manning the console with Ape.
Yeah. So if the guy sold bad stuff, we have his picture and his call sign.
Awesome.
Nice.
Good deal.
We don't.
Ape will get the one that's a little greasier looking than the one I keep, but
Well, he's not here, so.
You snooze, you lose, buddy. That's right. What else did I get? I got that cool Yaesu radio. I got a Yaesu FT208R, which is
Yes.
an HT from around 1981 or so.
Yeah, it's much like my HTX 202.
And Dennis is
It's a
responsible
brick.
for me buying my radio. So
Yeah, I take full blame for that
quid
because
pro
I was just
quo.
so excited. I was I was having so much fun that my Radio Shack HT worked,
Look who's here.
and then all of a sudden, boom! Hey, Smoking Ape here.
Smoking Ape is here.
Oh, there goes the neighborhood. He heard us talking about him and he showed up.
He did.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then Jim said, "Oh well, I saw this Yaesu for $30. I might as well get it." And the next thing I know, he walks in. He has all this stuff with all the peripherals too, like the charger and everything. And
Oh, it was pristine. I mean, it still had the little peel off the plastic stuff on the top of it, around the knobs in the original box, so I can sell it, for like $300 or $400 if I ever decide to sell it, because I've got the box for it.
That's right. It's worth more with a box.
Right. I don't know what else. Oh, I bought those. I found those, which I thought you guys got some too. I bought those power pole to Wago connector adapters.
no, I went back there and they were sold out of those. I wanted some of those.
I told everybody I saw about those things. Those were cool. Ham Source has those. That's where I got them from. And if you guys don't know what a Wago is, it's an electrical connector that you can use in lieu of what, I don't even use them anymore. I can't think of the darn name of them. Wire nuts.
Wire nuts.
In lieu of wire nuts. So they come in like 2-port, 3, 4, and 5-port models to interconnect power wires, and they're rated for AC voltage and AC current. So for DC ham projects, they'll absolutely carry any power you got. But you just you strip back the wire ends and shove them in there and flip the little lever down and it locks the wire in. And Ham Source was selling these things mated to power poles, so it's awesome for.
I saw those first mentioned, I think, for what was it? Was it the Visalia DX convention or the More Expo? One of those, someone was showing those off. And I was like, oh man, I got to get a hold of some of those. And as soon as I saw you have one, Jim, I was like, I got to go to Ham Source. And yeah, they were popular.
Yeah.
They were very popular because they were gone.
Well, Ryan told me they sold out of them pretty quick. And I said, that's my fault. When we had the Toads meet up yesterday at lunchtime, he said, we're sold out of those. We ain't got any at all. Mm-hmm. I see 45 said our favorite kid had made some. I mean, it's like a simple idea, 45. I just never thought of it. It's
a good thing in a pinch. If I've had it. I've actually had where my power pole connectors to something hooked up to my battery would come undone, and I don't have crimpers on hand. I don't have any, so it's like you got to figure out some way to jam a wire into a power pole housing. Those are perfect, if you have in case of emergency, or if you just need to MacGyver something to your car or something like that. You can very easily get that going with those. So Maybe there's an online place where you can get those. I'll be looking for them.
I mean, I think they'd be fairly easy to make, a few of them. I was thinking about making them with a little longer, like a longer jumper between the two, maybe 6 inches or so, just between the two different kinds of connectors, just so if you have to MacGyver something, you could have where you got a little wiggle room to move things around.
Yeah. LB4FI Norwegian Ham Adventures made some.
So, LB4,
according to 45.
Not Morton. Okay. I couldn't read all that tiny on my phone, that tiny print.
So, and then you had your 2980 handheld Yaesu on the next day while you were doing the live stream and everything, and it lasted the whole day, right? Like that battery was on the whole time.
It was on pretty much.
He has everything. He had the speaker mic, he had the belt clip, so he had the full setup for that thing.
I mean, I look like a legitimate fire department from 1981 with that radio on my belt.
Yes.
People would be like,
"That guy's about official." Hams, though. That's the thing with hams that I notice is we're big on nostalgia. We are really big on like I couldn't resist this Radio Shack when I saw it. When technically, I mean, it's like, why would I have this radio?
Right? Why am I buying this 30, 40-year-old radio? I know. Well, I mean, that Yaesu is 40 years old.
Yeah.
I bought a.
I also got. I don't have it on hand, but I got a transistor radio that I had owned when I was 6 years old. It's a General Electric. It's powered by a 9-volt battery. It's a little transistor radio. So I saw it and I was like immediately like, okay, this brings back memories, and it only cost me $5. Yeah.
I just want to correct the Smoking Ape here. He says that Jim is using my streaming camera. No, because he would have one with his face and one without. All right, let's get that straight.
What's he sassing about, Chuck?
Oh, he's making fun because yesterday I had two of my streams up because I lost one, and then all of a sudden it just popped back from who knows where.
Well, I think what happened here is I clicked a link out of Discord, and it didn't fire up Safari because I don't normally use Safari. And I think StreamYard on the iPhone requires Safari to work right. So let me pop out and try and do it in Safari. I'll be back.
Okay.
I'm not sure what I'm on. Just whatever it went to.
So 45 as a correction, it's LF0 or LB0FI, not LB4FI. Norwegian Ham Adventures. So we'll look for that. I hope he's selling them online.
I think our stream went fairly well, even though we had some. I mean, I had some problems right off the bat because we were playing with stuff, trying to get Jim's stuff to work, and I was working perfect. But when I put it all away, I either didn't turn it off or it got pushed on, and my transmitter. I mean, it lasted 5 minutes. Right as we were starting the stream, it lasted 5 minutes, and then it's done. So I had to go all the way back to because I didn't want to carry my backpack because the backpack gets hot, especially when it's muggy. So I'm like, oh, I won't take it. And of course, if I had taken it, probably nothing would have happened. And then luckily I was with Dennis, and Dennis had an adapter I needed. So, but in all, it came out pretty good towards the end, and we covered all.
I call that. I had that little pouch. I call it my bag of tricks, and it has every conceivable cable and adapter to convert them between each other. So USB A to C, and micro USB, and all these different.
And I was using a little battery pack that my wife bought, and I'm not used to using that. And as soon as I picked it up, I'm like, oh my God, this is C to. I need C to C, and I don't have C to C.
So I gave him an A to C adapter.
Yeah. So it all worked out.
So.
There's some good coverage there, I think.
Always someone who's going to need something like that. But and then one of the other things I got at the show itself, and it's funny because you walk up to ADSB Exchange and you think they're an informational booth. They're just there, right? They're like standing around like they're going to give you some info about their company, but they're actually selling things. So I knew this because who was it? Was it Shane who had this first? I think it was Shane who had this little dongle. So it's kind of like a flight tracker, filtered. It's, you know, people ask me why don't I just get an RTL SDR and use, you know, software to do that. But really, it was about the filtering, I guess. And then I also like that they provide a, you know, a little SD card that has everything you need on there to get going right away. So all I need is a Raspberry Pi, and I'll be able to contribute to flight tracking data around my area. But yeah, like I was saying, the vendor, you go up to them and you think it's just going to be like, okay, this is what this, you know, you see some of these places like M17 or, you know, different booths, and it's just informational. They're not selling anything. So that's the impression you got from ADSB Exchange. But I knew that they had something for sale, so I said, I want that SDR that you're selling. And they pulled them out of the box. I forget how much it was. I think it was $35.
Now it's
so
like
I'm looking
Chuck's
forward. Yeah, there you go.
No, you're not moving it.
We should all do that.
You're not moving it.
Well, I mean, I got a white ceiling.
We're all going to be like this now,
Yeah, right.
right?
You see, let me
Let's
do
all
that.
do this now.
Actually, you have to do something like
Yeah.
this because I was doing all this stuff trying to get stuff fixed.
Right.
And then I was
Okay, I've got the camera on.
and when I was in the sun, I couldn't see my screen. So now I'm looking for a place to get in the shade so I can see the screen. You know,
Right.
when you live,
Well,
it's going to happen. So
well, Jim, glad you made it back safe. It was a great time.
Yeah, I had
Hanging
a
with
great
you.
time. I got your liquor held hostage, so
we
Yeah,
treated
you bring it to
well before they
Huntsville.
left.
it'll all still be there by the time Huntsville rolls around.
That's another thing. I noticed. So I tried to buy some bourbon at a grocery store, and apparently you can't do that in Ohio. They only sell wine and beer. So we actually went to a liquor store, a wine and spirits store,
which
and,
was cool.
which I found that liquor's cheaper than in California, which is rare because like when I went to Kentucky, it was more expensive in Kentucky than California. But the other thing I noticed, they had a humidor and they had some cigars in there, and some of their pretty pricey cigars were cheaper than the cheapest ones I would find in California. So it kind of tells me how much I'm getting taxed in California for these
Painful.
things. So I have some of these cigars here, aged 18 and 21 years old, that I always buy pairs of something I want to try because I always smoke them with someone else. And looking forward to trying these out. So,
You know,
and then
we were
Jim got
talking.
one, and he gave it to me. I don't know why you didn't just take it home, Jim. But
Well,
thank
bring
you.
it to Huntsville. I'll smoke it when you're smoking one of yours.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Because I mean, smoking a cigar by myself, I agree with Dennis on this. He's exactly right. Because it's going to take me 45 minutes or an hour to smoke the thing. I have to sit outside to smoke it by myself. I look like sad Pablo Escobar meme, you know.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not going to do that. Dennis, you asked a question about when I mentioned that they didn't used to sell booze on Sunday in Alabama, and you were asking, well, what do they do? Then I said they just wouldn't let you buy it. So coming back today in Kentucky, I think, I'm pretty sure it was Kentucky, I stopped at a gas station to fill up and use the bathroom, and they have the beer cave, right? It had a chain across the door of the beer cave, and all the coolers with beer in them had a chain across them.
Wow.
So in Kentucky, whatever the county, and there's a couple dry counties in Kentucky, and that may, I don't know, but they had a chain across it. You were not buying beer today at that convenience store.
No beer on Sundays, huh?
Right. And they were serious about
Nice.
it. Alabama just said, oh, you can't buy that. Okay.
Very interesting. Yeah, I know that we're kind of a nationwide group, so I don't know what people are used to, but in California, you go to Target or you go to Walmart, you can buy
What?
Yeah,
Jim Beam.
pretty much.
At Walmart?
You can, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
liquor is everywhere, and So whenever I go to a state, there's several things whenever I go to a new state that I need to figure out. One, can you turn right on a red? I don't know if you can do that. And two, where can you buy liquor? Can you just go to the grocery store like in California? And then even I've learned in some states, they let you turn right or left on a red, which I was like, okay.
We can do that here.
That's fine.
You can turn left on red from a one-way onto a one-way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on a one-way, obviously going the right direction, and a left turn is the one-way that you're turning onto, then a left on red is legal. And there's only like 4 people in the entire state that know that, apparently. Me, the cop in front of me, nobody else does. So if you're behind anybody else, it's like you're going to sit there at the whole light because they just won't do it. But yeah, you can here.
Strange. So, any other things you want to mention about Hamvention? We've been going about an hour 10 now. So nice, nice long stream. Just talking a little bit about some of our cool loot that we scored.
Well, and, Chuck, did you get any loot? I don't remember.
Yeah, I bought some. Remember the straps and the deals? We went and saw Ryan today. I got the power poles that I forgot to get. I got a couple of the. This has USB A and C, and then also a voltmeter in it for a box I'm going to build for my son. I bought a couple of those and a couple of these.
We bought some toroids too, because they made Chuck buy toroids.
I got a bunch of toroids and.
Yeah, Chuck didn't walk away with any large, spectrum analyzers or scopes or anything like that.
And the happiest thing about my trip to Hamvention was I unloaded a very large spectrum analyzer.
We shared a bit of this.
Yes. Oh my God. And thank you, John Gendron. Once again, you're the man.
We didn't tell him what you bought from him, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you can tell. Well, I'll tell him. It's John was selling a mag loop, alpha antenna mag loop. Chuck, what did we decide that does?
I think it's 6 to 80 or something like
6 to 80. With that extension, it'll do 80, right? Other than that, it's like 6 to 40.
40 probably.
Yeah. Yes. So I have a mag loop to set up and play with, and I'll have to do some videos on that. I have no need for a mag loop, but they're interesting, and I've wanted to mess with one, and the price John had was way cheaper than I could buy one brand new, so I thought it was a good deal.
It was a good deal. I mean,
because mag loops are cha-ching, right? They're pretty expensive.
Yeah. Ape's asking what you sold. Which one?
The Aeroflex.
The one he bought last year, or
the one I bought at Orlando
4 months ago.
I mean, I like it. It's a great device, but it's so big. You saw how big that thing was. I just don't have a good place to set it, and I can't hardly make a video with it because once you turn it on, the fan noise is so loud. I mean, it's like sitting next to a jet on the runway.
Get a jet turbine whenever you try to do a video on it.
Pretty much. Yeah. But no, I think I had a great time. I didn't get to see as much of the flea market as I wanted to, but I bought enough junk anyway, so I'm good. The Ferengi side of me acquired some goods, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I ended up with 3 new HTs, radio, and ADSB receiver.
See, very good, very good. You're a credit to your clan, Dennis.
Yes. All right, I think we'll call it here. Nice, good length stream. And thank you again to the Coffee and Ham Radios guys, T.O., Jim, and Chuck for being accommodating, allowing me to hang out with them and stay at their Airbnb. It was a fun time.
It's always a pleasure, man.
Even though you had to sleep on the couch?
Yeah. I didn't want to mention that, but yeah, I did have to sleep on the couch. But see, our group is an early to sleep group, so it was good.
Yeah.
My main concern was that you guys would be yammering all the way until like 2 a.m. every night, and I'd be like, oh gosh.
Well,
But,
you and I were the last two up every night, I think. And that
they just
wasn't-
cut it. Like I think about 10:30, 11, boom, everyone's just they want to
Yeah,
pass out already.
you walk into the bathroom, you come out, and all the lights are off, and everybody's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Where'd everybody go?
So I'm like, cool with that.
Right.
That's
Right.
it. And it's weird because I'd wake up on the dot like 6 every morning, and I'm understanding now that this is East Coast time. So when I get back to California, I'll be waking up at 3
Right.
Oh, Lord.
until I can undo this.
That means you could make the Saturday car stream on time.
Yeah, then I can
for a
make the
week
car
or so.
streams. Let's see if it lasts a week. If I'm at the car stream early, starting to chat already, then you'll know that I'm still holding on to this East Coast
Instead of
schedule.
Andy, Dennis will be first in
Yeah,
front of Andy.
exactly.
That's right. Instead of
Yeah.
Andy. That would be amazing. Cool.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. I will
All right,
catch you all later.
I'm dancing.